You don't get to build your dream home or have someone make it for you daily. Having worked every day of your life, you certainly deserve that break, but the reality is open and disappointing. Today, we'll discuss one of those discouraging occasions as well as a mastermind who utilized the wealth of others to advance his own and how he ultimately paid for it. This will serve as a reminder for years to come that not everything that glitters is gold and not every salesperson has your best interest at heart. Stick with us as we uncover the fraud of David Ames, the over $200 million he stole from the people, and how he will pay for it. Before we start the video, make sure to like and subscribe. This is probably one of the worst frauds in the last 2 decades, with your average working person having to pay up from their pension and savings plan for a pipe dream that never happened. Let's look at what happened and why so many were lured into this false hope of spending money on a project that would never take off. A way to get free from the damn muddy weather of Britain into the sunbathed shoes of the Caribbean sounds like a deal you do not want to pass out on, but what was so alluring about it that people just started to throw money at it? Let us start with the man himself, David Ames, who had headed 2 companies before starting Harlequin Group. Both companies went bankrupt under his supervisor, so he is not exactly someone with the greatest of track records. This plan was simple, to get enough money so he could start building these resorts and then make a considerable profit from them. It seems like an easy plan, right? Well, no, seeing his track record, it is most likely that not a lot of people wanted to lend him this money in fear that they may never see it again, and they would be right as a lot of people are suffering from the downfall of David Ames and the Harlequin Group. Things started simple. He hired a couple of hundred salespeople to go door to door and to sell the idea of a dream Caribbean home to prospective investors who were ordinary people and not wealthy or well-off individuals, and to ensure the salespeople did their job right and pulled in as many investors as possible. David gave them a 10% incentive to the amount the investor would pay to Harlequin Group without clawbacks. This means that the salespeople could get as many as they could want and get 10% from every single person and not lose any money if any of them decided to drop out. Ames is a very charismatic man, and he showed off his skills in the high-end sales pitches hosted at expensive places to bolster and fuel the investors into believing that someone in power along with money was dealing with it, and that their investment would be safe. He pitched his way from golf clubs to conference parties to exhibition stalls, all for a make-believe lie. His sale pitch was only bolstered more thanks to the number of stars who did not know what was happening and helped Ames to gain millions of dollars for his idea. Ames considered himself a visionary, but he lacked the will to follow through with his vision, so he started to concrete the idea in people's minds. Some of the people included were Wimbledon champion Cash endorsed the training academy in those resorts, and another golf star that would insure the golf clubs for the alternatives. Last but not least, he somehow pulled Liverpool FC in a promotional video to state that they would be in charge of the football club into those resorts. Who could say not all these luxurious and star-studded offers? He convinced even the top leaders of the Caribbean islands to support his ideas for the resort. Everything appeared to be in order, and he seemed prepared to start construction, but Ames' greed quickly caused things to go awry. Not having learned from his previous 2 failures, he continues on the path of destruction. The very first investment itself was a warning indication of disaster. Solely 30% of the total construction costs were requested up front. Of that 30%, 10% went to the salespeople, 5% went to Harlequin Group, and the remaining 15% was used only for the resort's construction. Ames and his family certainly did not live day-to-day life. Oh no, they lived a life of luxury and often sold themselves off as they frequently traveled to and from the Caribbean on their private plane. It makes you guess really as to where all the money went to. In 2011, his associates informed him how badly the plan was going and that they would face a shortfall of investments. What did Ames do? Well, he fired everyone who gave him the bad news. It did seem like he wanted this idea to fail after all. So instead of toning it down, he decided to increase his sales, and he ended up falling anyways. When the company eventually failed, it was £384 million in debt. In 2012, the SFO investigation launched a 5-year investigation into this, and the records only went back to 2010 and not till 2005, as they believed he started the scheme with only good intent. There was no choice but to tell the truth at that point, because doing so would have put him in severe legal danger, given his just-established firm. The SFO also argued that the business idea was fundamentally flawed, as most of the money from the investors was, in turn, put into the company itself and not the real promise in which the money was invested. On top of that, he never received any external finances, so to keep his promise to his previous investors, his only option was to get more investors to invest in the program so that he could make it happen. In addition, they discovered that it was a pyramid scam to enable them to invest in their ideal Caribbean resorts. And what was most sickening about this is that most people pulled this money out of their pensions, and with nothing to get them their money back, they will have to work into retirement, a time when they should not have to work at all. Now that the truth is out and he has been charged, Ames has started to blame his accountants for the predicament, and the firm that handled his accounts for why his company failed and why he could not help all those people get their dream homes. He also blamed the Irish building contractors ICE, who said they defrauded him. He was not done, though. He also started to go on how made about a fake website cheating his name along with the business, the tighter SIPP account investment regulations, the SFO investigations into him, and the overall state of the economy. The financial services compensation system restored £125 million, or less than half, of the £240 million the IFA had stolen. Nevertheless, the majority of investors an IFA advised could recover the majority of their money returned through the scheme. Ames also sued ICE over the agreement to build the Bucamat Bay Resort, but there was no written argument or any scope as to when would finish the project. Ames won the case and received an award of $11 million. They placed all this money in an escrow account so Ames could use it to recoup the sums fraudulently obtained from the victims. Only 28 of the 8,200 sold units were delivered, and the remaining 7,200 will never be provided. Ames got what he should have. She was put in front of a jury consisting of everyday men and women, the type that goes to work every day and earns their money. And the jury at London's Southwark Crown Court sentenced him guilty of 2 charges of fraud by abuse of power. If there was one place where he could not talk his way out of or lie his way out of, was in front of the court. They had all the evidence needed to put him behind bars, and the jury was all for it. In an official statement, the SFO, or the UK Serious Fraud Office, revealed that Ames did not even bother to make any evidence for his claim to be innocent, which is most likely because there was none. He knew none of this would work out, but happily took the money from other people and enjoyed it as much as possible. He made a profit of £6.2 million. The sentence for Ames has been determined to be 12 years in prison, but this does not seem like enough time given the suffering many families will experience due to his scams and lavish lifestyle. His son was also arrested a few years ago on a credit card scheme, and it seems like lying and being a fraud runs through the family. He hasn't been charged with fraud, though neither has his wife nor their youngest kid. We hope the people involved will get their money back, and there may still be hope for them. I hope you enjoyed this video, and make sure to like and subscribe.